Hello friends, welcome back to the tetrahedron chemistry classes. So guys, if you remember in my last lecture I have started the remaining portion of your organometallic compounds, and I have done the synthesis of Fischer carbene complexes, and as well as we have already discussed the types of the carbenes, right? Singlet and the triplet carbenes and all these things, right? So today actually I am going to discuss the properties of the Fischer carbene complexes, especially the chemical properties. Okay, then we'll see the Schrock carbene also. Okay, so before going into the details of this particular lecture, let us actually review what we have done in the last lecture. Okay, so these were the slides actually for the last lecture. Okay, so these were the property you see here. I have started from here, metal carbene complexes. Then I have described the difference between the singlet and the triplet carbene, detailed differentiation between them, and then I have switched to the type of the different types of the carbene based on on their synthesis, right? Fischer and Schrock, they synthesize these carbenes. Okay, and then I have already told you how we can differentiate between the Fischer and the Schrock carbenes, and after that I switched to the properties synthesis of the Fischer carbene complexes, right? And this we have done in pretty much detail. So in today's class I am going to discuss the chemical properties of the Fischer carbene complexes. Okay, so what are those properties actually? So number one, see, these properties are very important. You may have the question in your examination from this. Okay, first is the thermal decomposition. So in thermal decomposition, what will happen? If you heat the Fischer carbene complexes, it will give you the alkene, and it will give you the different kinds of the alkenes, especially two kinds of the alkenes. And one alkene is formed by the dimerization of the fragment, right, carbene fragment, and other alkene will form by the hydride transfer from that carbene fragment. Okay, so let us see how we can see a reaction. Say for example, you have been given this complex carbonyl 5 times, and you are having the chromium. It is doubly bonded with this fragment. Okay, we have synthesized these compound in the last lecture. Okay, of course you are having the oxygen here. So what you will do, if you heat this, okay, if you heat this, then you will have the two fragments. You will have this 5-membered ring, which is alkene containing heteroatom oxygen over there, and this double bond here. So mechanism is not very important, but I will try to give you an idea, not the detailed mechanism, but I will provide you the idea how we can actually decide the structure of the alkenes. Okay, so this is how you can draw. Oxygen is here, oxygen is here, so it is producing two alkenes, right? First alkene is this one, number 1, and second alkene is this one, alkene number 2. So this actually this is formed by the hydride transfer, hydride shift, 1,2 hydride shift, or the hydride transfer, and this alkene is formed by the dimerization. Okay, so you can understand in that manner. Say it is not the exact mechanism, but I am giving you an idea. For example, you have been given this particular complex, and you actually try to work out how we can have these things, right, these alkenes. So what you can do, you can put 2 hydrogens here, right, and when you heat this, right, so what will happen? The electronic movement will occur. So this hydrogen, see, you can see this is the position number 1, this is the position number 2. So 1,2 hydride shift will occur from here, or you can simply see the hydride shift. So this hydrogen along with one of its electron will move to that position. Okay, so definitely when it will move to this particular position, so this, see, right now it is having no hydrogen. This position, you can see here, this position right now, this carbon is not having any hydrogen, but after shifting this, you will have hydrogen over there. Okay, so simply you can see you are having hydrogen at this particular position, and this double bond will shift here actually, right? So this double bond gets shifted here. Okay, so you can understand this thing in that manner. So when it will go there, so this will come here. So that's why this double bond is there, right? And if you have two such fragments, actually they can also dimerize. So there is no need to go for the detailed mechanism, but you should know when you heat the Fischer carbene, they actually give back to the alkene, right? And see, this is something very, very important. And one very important reaction, another property I want to give you, say this is property number 2. Say for example, you have been given this complex, this is Cp, cyclopentadienide, okay, and this is carbonyl, and 2 times it is present, and iron is here, and this is your carbene complex. This complex is also your Fischer carbene. It is also Fischer carbene complex. So why, see, earlier in my last lecture I told you, you always look for the heteroatom whenever you are looking for the Fischer carbene, but in that case this carbon is not connected with the heteroatom. So you have to keep in mind these things also. Always you will not find heteroatom in the Fischer carbene. You have to look for the other properties also in order to decide whether the given carbene is the Fischer carbene or the Schrock carbene. Okay, so in that case you can see this iron is actually your late transition metal. Okay, and since it is the late transition metal, obviously it is a Fischer carbene, and moreover it is having the 2 of the carbonyl, right? Whenever you are having the 2 carbonyl, it can stabilize this oxidation state, right? This metal actually, right? And hence it is actually your Fischer carbene. So this is something very, very important. And when you have these kind of the Fischer carbenes without a heteroatom, they are very reactive. So I can write very reactive. They are very reactive without heteroatom. You have to keep in mind these points. Okay, so whenever you are using this one, so they are very, very reactive. So what you can do, you can react this species, this Fischer carbene complex, you can do the protonation of this one. Okay, when you do the protonation of this one, it will result in a product, right? I am not going to draw the mechanism of this one. See, however, it is also undergo the 1,2 hydride shift. Okay, so how you can write, this is Cp, this is CO whole twice, iron is over there, and it is connected with the CH2, and of course this hydrogen is already there. Okay, so how actually this happened? See, the this is in the lower oxidation state. I already told you, whatever the metal present in the Fischer carbene complexes, they are actually the electron rich, in the low oxidation state. When they are in the low oxidation state, that means they have the extra electron to it. So when actually this happens, okay, so this will move here, double bond, and it can come here. Okay, when it can come here, then this electron density can grab this hydrogen. So hydrogen is attached here, it gets attached here. Okay, and this double bond is shifted from iron to this particular position, right? It was just like that. So did I made any mistake? Okay, I make a mistake here, very sorry. I can recorrect it. I have drawn this in the wrong manner, just like that. So it is just like that. I'm sorry for this one. I'm sorry for this one. Okay, now it is fine. Okay, when this bond gets shifted from here, and this electron density, so I have to actually delete this part also. Okay, so what will happen when this will come here? This electron density will grab this hydrogen to form this species, and of course when electrons have moved away from the iron, so this iron actually would get a positive charge. You can put positive charge over there. Okay, and from here you can see 1,2 hydride shift would occur. So I can write here 1,2 hydride shift, 1,2 H negative shift. When this hydrogen gets shifted, you will have this species Cp CO 2 times. Okay, iron is in positive, and here you can see this species CH2 and CH2. So how this had happened actually? This hydrogen actually will undergo the hydride shift. Say this is the position number 1, this is the position number 2. So this will shift from here to here. Okay, when this will shift from here to here, definitely this electron pair would come here. So this would be CH2 double bond CH2, right? Hydrogen gets shifted here, and this iron now linked with both the carbons, or you can draw in that manner also. Iron linked with CH2 CH2, right? So hepaticity is changing here. Here you can see the hepaticity for iron is 1, because it is connected with the only one carbon. Now it is connected with the 2 carbon. So hepaticity change actually takes place. So you should remember this particular point. Fischer carbene complexes without heteroatom are very reactive, and they easily undergo the reaction to change the hepaticity. This is in fact a very important question, and you may have sooner or later this question in your CSIR NET examination. Okay, now moving to the next problem, next property, not problem exactly. Say reaction with ammonia derivative. Reaction with ammonia derivatives. Or instead of writing ammonia derivatives, guys, you can straightforward write amines. You can also write amines. Okay, so how actually the reaction would occur? Say for example, you have been given this complex, carbonyl, tungsten is there, doubly bonded carbon is there, and say this is OMe and this is Me. So it is clearly your carbon is connected with the heteroatom, late transition metal is there, and 5 of the pi acceptor ligands are there, so they can stabilize this Fischer carbene complex. So guys, you will remember this particular point. Okay, so why this pi acceptor ligands are necessary to stabilize this one? Because you know this tungsten or in the Fischer carbene complexes, metals are in lower oxidation state, they have the higher electron, so they can actually give electron to the carbonyl. So these carbonyls can accept electron and stabilize the particular complex. Okay, so when you have this kind of thing, or then you can react this with the another species. So for example, you are having NHR2, so it is amine. Okay, NHR2 I am writing for this one, and you know this carbon can readily accept electron. I have already told you in my last lecture. So what will happen? This will attack on this carbon, consequently this electron pair will get shifted over tungsten, and when it's shifted over tungsten, you will have new species, and that species would be just like that, CO 5 times, tungsten with negative sign, now singly bonded, containing carbon, and then you are having OMe group, and after OMe group down you are having this methyl group, and now this nitrogen gets connected with this carbon. We are having this one. Obviously it has shared its electron pair, so it is positively charged now. Okay, so this species you can form, you know oxygen will always have a 2 lone pair over there. So what can happen in the next step? You can see, okay, this electron density will come back from here to here. Okay, and this part actually you see, or what you can do, okay, see, I'll come to this step later on. Initially I'll do the things little differently. Okay, So this OMe is there. So what will happen? The lone pair which is present here, it can grab hydrogen from here. Okay, when it will grab hydrogen from here, so the species which you will have CO 5 times tungsten with negative with carbon, and this would be your O, not O actually, it should be Me. Okay, this is MeOH and it is positively charged. Why? Because one of the lone pair, you see, one of the lone pair, which is this one. I hope you know the organic reaction mechanism. This lone pair actually has consumed in the formation of this bond. That's why this is positively charged. Okay, and then your remaining species would be NR2 because hydrogen gets shifted, and this is your Me. Okay, so what will happen in the last step, guys? This electron density from tungsten will shifted here, and this will move here on the oxygen. Okay, and you will have MeOH as the byproduct, and when you have the MeOH of as the byproduct, then final species you are having CO5 tungsten double bond carbon, and it is connected with the NR2 and Me. NR2 and Me. Okay, so you are having this particular species. So this is how the reaction goes with the ammonia derivatives. Now the important thing is that which you actually must know why this reaction is happening, because this Fischer carbene complex is already stabilized. The important thing is that you are having nitrogen over there, and here you are having the heteroatom. So change of the heteroatom actually is taking place, and nothing has happened here. Only the heteroatom has changed from oxygen, it has changed to the nitrogen. So why this happens actually? So you should remember this particular point. Oxygen is more electronegative than nitrogen. Okay, and so that's why due to this smaller size, see, due to high electronegativity and smaller size, I can write a smaller size of oxygen, oxygen is quite reluctant actually to give electron to this carbene carbon. Okay, while this nitrogen, you can see here, it is having the less electronegativity or comparatively bigger size than your oxygen. So its actually electron donating capacity is quite high. When its electron donating capacity is quite high, then it will readily actually forms the pi bond. So pi donation capacity would be very high for this one. That's why this reaction is feasible. So you can always look in that matter. For example, say if you have been given fluorine connected here, F, and you are reacting with the oxygen, then again the same thing will happen. Your fluorine gets replaced by the oxygen. You may have the question in such type also. Okay, I think this is clear to you. Now next property, that is reaction with the alkenes. Okay, so I can write reaction with alkenes. Alkenes, or you can say the alkene like compounds, especially the carbon nucleophiles. You know the carbene carbon is electrophilic in nature in case of the Fischer carbene. This thing I have already told you. Okay, now you can see here how we can do this kind of reaction. Okay, say for example, you have been given this complex CO5 and you have been given the molybdenum for this one, and it is doubly bonded with the carbon, and you are having the OMe along with the phenyl over there. Okay, and you are having say this alkene, right? OR, I am writing this OR also because it is electron rich alkene, right? So because the electron pair gets can be donated from here, okay, and from here. Okay, that's why it is electron rich. So I am not going into the detail of electron richness and all these things, and I assume that you know these things from the basics of the organic chemistry. Okay, So this is how this species actually is reacting, and what will happen, you see this double bond will attack on this electrophilic carbon because this is nucleophile. Okay, this carbon is electrophilic, I already told you, E positive, I can write in that manner. Okay, and when this happens, the electron density gets shifted on the molybdenum. Okay, so what product you will have in that case? You are having this particular product, carbonyl 5 times molybdenum with negative sign. Okay, and they are having the carbon, and this carbon is connected with the phenyl, so I am changing the way of the writing in order to make the mechanism more clearer to you. Okay, and then you are having, say, you can see here, say this is the carbon number 1, this is the carbon number 2. Okay, so you can write in that manner, and this is the atom number 3, you can write in that manner. So this will get connected with this one, just like that, double bond O R. Okay, so this is how this is how it happened actually, because it will come here. Okay, let me delete it first and use this. So the lone pair actually would come here, and this will get attached. So that's why this double bond is over there, and of course this lone pair has moved from here, so this oxygen will be positively charged. So this is how you can show you, right? So now in that case, you see, if you count now if you count the total metals, because see in the first step actually metalless cycles are formed. So what are the metalless cycles? A cyclic compound which contains the metal. So you can write, say, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 4 membered ring will form in that case. So how you can form that 4 membered ring? It's quite easy, guys. CO5 were already there. Okay, now this molybdenum would be the part of the cycle, because metalless cycle will form. So, and you are having the 4 membered ring, right? And this 4 membered ring at position number 4, it is having the group OR. Okay, so if this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, so it's this position 4 will have the OR. Okay, this position number 4 will have the OR. Okay, and position number 2 will having the phenyl as well as the OMe. So you can write here OMe, and this is your phenyl. So basically it is a metalless cycle. Okay, and when actually see, when this reaction would happen, that means this molybdenum would attack here, and when this will attack here, so this double bond gets shifted over there. So that's why this cycle get completed, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the lone pair of this oxygen gets completed. Now after that, you see what will happen, the breaking of this complex would occur. So how the breaking of this complex would occur? See, it's quite simple, guys. This double bond, this bond actually, right, this is the weaker bond, gets cleaved from here. Okay, and this bond actually will shift here. So what product you will have? So this fragment have gone now. So you are having phenyl connected with the carbon and also connected with the OMe, and it will form a double bond with CH2. So how this had happened, guys, it is very important. See, when this bond breaks and moved here, so this single bond, due to the shifting of this, gets converted into the double bond. It will become CH2. Okay, that's why I have write CH2 double bond, and this CH2 double bond is connected with the phenyl. I have written phenyl here, and also connected with the OMe. I have written OMe here. And when this bond, and this bond is already broken, when this bond broken, it will go along with this molybdenum. So other fragment which you will have will be this one, CO 5 times, then your molybdenum, your doubly bonded carbon. So this is OR and this is H. So you are having the 2 fragments. So in that case, what actually what had happened actually, you are having having an alkene actually, right? So you are having two different kinds of things. So the carbene, what it will result actually when this see, this is actually your metallocycle. This is metallocycle, and when this metallocycle breakdowns, okay, so cleavage of this metallocycle, I can write cleavage here, okay. When the cleavage will occur, you will have your alkene, right, and you will have your carbene complex. So still it is your Fischer carbene, but with the change structure. So this is how the reaction goes with this one. So this is something very, very important. Okay. Now moving to the next property, next important property. See this reaction, this property is very, very important for examination point of view also. We can synthesize the lactones or ketones because these Fischer carbene complexes, they actually undergo the oxidative cleavage with certain oxidizing agents. So here you can write the reaction oxidative cleavage. Oxidative cleavage. And when this oxidative cleavage would occur, you actually synthesize, or you can see this reaction gives ketones, or you can say lactones. So cyclic ketones are lactones, you all know actually. So how the reaction goes in such cases actually. So for example, I am writing the general reaction. So you need some oxidizing agent in that case, okay. So you will need some oxidizing agent. So I am writing OA for the oxidizing agent. So you can use ceric ammonium nitrate for this one, okay, like ceric 4, and ceric 4 you know is there in the CAN. CAN stands for the ceric ammonium nitrate. This is a very important oxidizing agent, okay. And you may also use say DMSO, or even since in the first lecture of the organometallic compounds, I have already told you they are very actually unstable. They react quickly with the moisture and the water. So it can also react with the oxygen present in the atmosphere, right? Various oxidizing agent you can use in that case, okay. And see how the reaction goes in that in these cases. So first reaction I am writing in that manner. Say I am generalizing this reaction. So I am writing CO5 here. This metal connected with this say cyclic carbene, oxygen is there, heteroatom, and say this is the double bond. Say this is the given complex, and for reaction you are using your ceric ammonium nitrate. So I can write CAN, ceric ammonium nitrate you are using, which is oxidizing agent. So nothing will happen. You will remember this particular point. This actually double bond, metal double bond carbon, this carbene part actually. So this carbon gets converted into the ketone, nothing else, okay. And other product would be your side product, and there is no need to write that side product. So what will happen in that case? It will give you the simple ketone, just like that. See, this double bond was already there, the oxygen was already there. Now simple this alkene gets converted into the double bond. So it is a lactone, right? Cyclic ketone is the lactone, right? So it is looking like some ester kind of thing, but it is simply a ketone, right? So you may have the various reactions related to this one. Say for example, next reaction what we can see here. Say you have been given this complex. This is 6-membered ring. This is also 6-membered ring, and you are having oxygen over there, and this is double bond, and for this say some metal is connected, okay. But remember, it should be your Fischer carbene, late transition metal would be there, okay. And here methyl is there, and already a ketone is there, okay. And say you are reacting this compound with DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. Dimethyl sulfoxide. I know what is, I assume you know the DMSO structure, right? It is dimethyl sulfoxide, okay. So this is how you can write sulfur over there and oxygen, very important universal solvent it is. So what will happen, the reaction is quite simple. You will have the product in that manner. See, there is no need to touch this particular part, okay, and you can write methyl over there, okay, and then another 6-membered ring, just like that. Heteroatom oxygen was already there, and this part will convert it into the ketone. So what had happened in that case, this part gets converted into the ketone. So these are the reactions which are very, very important, and you should know about these kinds of the reactions, okay. So there are various reactions. Similarly, you see abstraction of beta proton type of reactions are also there, okay. However, I am not going to do that particular reaction, okay, and you can do these reactions by your own. And if you see, okay, what I can do, I can finish that reaction also. Say for example, abstraction of beta proton. So I am writing abstraction of beta proton. Abstraction of beta proton, okay. So what is the reaction in that case? So for example, you have been given this complex. Like these problems actually are given in the Crabtree. You can go through the book also. However, the detailed mechanism of any reaction is not given there. You have to think by your own in order to understand the reaction completely. So this is the oxygen connected here, right, and you see this is your alpha and this is the beta part, okay, and this beta part is having the hydrogen. So I am writing one hydrogen here and another hydrogen here, okay. And in this reaction you are using a base, butyl lithium. You know, butyl lithium is a base, lithium is positive and butyl is negative, because carbon is more electronegative than most of the metals, okay. So that's why this is having the negative charge, okay. So what can happen actually in that case, this negatively charged butyl can take hydrogen from here in the form of the proton. So when it is in the form of the proton, then definitely the electron pair will move to this position, right. You are having the electron pair from here. Then you will have your product, or you see the intermediate, not exactly the product. You are having CO5, then you are having the chromium, double bond, and it is connected with the oxygen, okay, and of course negative sign is there. So due to negative sign, this is resonance stabilized. This is resonance stabilized, okay. So I am not going to draw the resonance structure. You can understand by your own. You can shift this electron from here to here, okay, and then you can shift this here to here to get another structure, okay. So I am not drawing that that particular structure. So this is actually the abstraction of the beta proton which is happening here. And now say for example, you are having the other species, like say you are having MEO CH2 Cl. So this species, you know, the chlorine is negatively charged, this carbon is positively charged. So in that case, what can happen? This negative part can grab this fragment, this carbon fragment, okay. When this will grab this carbon fragment, so what it can result? It can give you, say, CO5, chromium is here, there is no problem in that, okay, and then you are having this double bond and your 5-membered ring, oxygen heteroatom is there. Now this part will have your CH2O Me. So your chloride will leave from here, okay. You will have this structure, and finally what will happen, right? You will have see, you can do the protonation of this one, right? You can do the protonation. Again your hydrogen is there, H positive is there. So when you have the H positive here, so what will happen, your methanol will remove from here. So how the methanol will move from here? Okay, see, this position is having hydrogen. Okay, right? So what will happen? This hydrogen as hydride will move from here. As hydride, it will go to the oxygen, and this bond will get shifted to this particular position. So what it will result? It will give you CO 5 times, chromium is already there, double bond, this is heteroatom oxygen, now this would be CH2 double bond. So how this had happened actually? Because this pair gets shifted from here to here, okay, and that's why it becomes double bond. So these are the reaction. Beta hydrogen abstraction is taking place in the form of the proton. So these are the few important reactions of the Fischer carbene, and once you know the things about the Fischer carbene, and you can apply the reverse concept to identify the Schrock carbene. Okay, so now we can move, say, okay, so this is the question, guys. This question which actually has been asked in the CSIR net examination in the June 2016. Okay, so what it has, what is given here? See, hexacarbonyl chromium is there, and it is reacting with the phenyl lithium. Okay, and when it is reacting with the phenyl lithium, it is producing a compound A, and this compound A then reacting with your Mirvine salts, right? This is kind of the Mirvine salt. It is a methylating agent. I already told you in my last lecture, and it is giving B, and your job is to identify what is A and what is B. So this reaction is very, very simple if you know about the Schrock carbene. See, synthesis of the Fischer carbene, you know, for the synthesis of the Fischer carbene, the very convenient method is that you are having this methylating agent, right? First you will have the base, and then after base you are having your methylating agent. Okay, so how we can write the reaction? See, guys, the reaction is quite simple. Say you are having CO 5 times, chromium, double bond, it should be carbon, this should be carbon. Okay, you can write carbon here, this is double bond oxygen. Okay, and you are having what? Phenyl lithium. So I'm writing pH for this one. You know, this is positively charged, this is negatively charged, and this carbon is actually electrophilic, so it can actually grab the electrons. So this will attack over there, there is no problem in that, and this will shift here, and this electron will grab this lithium. So what it will result? It will result CO 5 times along with the chromium, right? Double bond carbon, it is having phenyl over there, this carbon, right? And along with the carbon, it is also having the OLI bond. So lithium positive and this negative. Okay, I hope this is quite clear to you. Okay, so how it had happened actually? You see, this phenyl gets connected with the carbon, so I have written this phenyl with the carbon, and this oxygen have grabbed this lithium, right? And this double becomes single, so this is single now, and this is O lithium. So this is how you can do. So this is your, say, compound A, right? And you have been given 4 option, right? And you can check the options. So in the 2 options, the A is not given in that manner. That means you can actually strike out the 2 options, and then the remaining 2 you can solve. Okay, and after that it is reacting with the Mirvine salt. So I am writing Mirvine salts for this one. Mirvine salt. Okay, it is a methylating agent. So what will happen in the methylating agent? This lithium gets replaced by the methyl group, nothing else. Okay, so you will have your product. That product would be CO 5 times, chromium is there. Okay, double bond carbon, phenyl is there, and this is the methylating agent. So this is OMe, and this is your compound B. Okay, so this is how you can solve the problem. It's quite simple. Now moving to the next. Okay, this question has been asked in December 2016 CSIR net examination, and this question is quite simple. What the question says, you see here, it says correct statement for the Fischer-Carbene complex is. So electrophilic in nature. Fischer-Carbene is electrophilic in nature. Yes, it is electrophilic in nature. So this is the correct option. Second is what? See, higher oxidation state of metal. No, in the Fischer-Carbene, metal in the lower oxidation state. Then third option, metal fragment and carbenes are triplet. No, Fischer-Carbene is the singlet carbene. After that, CO ligand destabilize the complex. No, Ca ligand stabilizes the complex. So this is also wrong. So this is how you can go for the correct answer, right? So this is all about the properties and the synthesis of the Fischer-Carbene. Okay, now what we will see, proton NMR of the Fischer-Carbene. Okay, NMR of Fischer-Carbene. So this is another very important point. You may have the question in your examination from this particular topic also. Okay, say for example, you have been, say you are having this complex, okay, CO5, chromium is here, it is a Fischer-Carbene complex. So here you can see the oxygen is here, I can write methyl over there, and this is having methyl. Okay, this is one complex. Now guys, it is very important to remember, very important, whenever you are having the OMe bond, so this OMe bond can rotate actually, it can rotate in that manner, because barrier of rotation is quite low barrier of rotation. Okay, and that barrier is quite low, somewhere around say 52 kilojoule per mole. 52 kilojoule per mole. Okay, so what will happen? See, in that case, you see this compound is actually the trans one, right? This compound is the trans one, because this OMe is going to to the opposite direction of this one, right? So when the rotation would occur, right, at room temperature, say, so what will happen? This complex gets converted into the cis form. So what would be the cis form? CO 5 times, chromium is there, double bond carbon, and you are having OMe, and then you are having Me. So this is the cis complex. Now this is the problem. Now if you see the proton NMR of this one, so you may have the one signal of this one, signal 1, this methyl proton, and another signal, that is signal 2 for this methoxy proton. So this trans form will give you the 2 signal. Okay, and if you have the cis form, in the cis form also, one signal is due to this one in the proton NMR, and another signal to this one, second signal to this one. Okay, so again it is having, the cis form is also giving the 2 signals. Okay, it is also giving the 2 signals. So what actually happened at minus 40 degrees centigrade? This is something very, very important. Whenever you are having this sample at minus 40 degrees centigrade, then these 2 forms are present in the equilibrium, right? Both these actually cis and trans forms are there. So when you do the NMR for this one, you will get the total 4 signals. Total 4 signals. So I can write 4 signals. Okay, 2 for cis and 2 for trans. This is something very, very important. 4 signal it will give you. But see, if you take the NMR at room temperature, RT here is the higher temperature. So in that case, what will happen? These 2 forms, these trans and the cis form, they are readily interconverted, and their conversion actually is quite fast, which cannot be studied by the NMR time scale. So NMR cannot actually differentiate which one is cis, which one is trans. So in that case, you can see the fluxionality is having, fluxional nature is having, and due to this fluxionality, NMR cannot identify cis and trans, and it equilibrate that particular NMR, and only 2 signal will result, only 2 signals, because at room temperature, or room temperature is the higher temperature, NMR cannot distinguish between the rapidly equilibrating cis and trans form of this particular complex. So this part is very important for you guys. Now say for example, I have changed this, say if I change the compound in that manner, say you are having CO 5 times and chromium is there, it is doubly bonded with the oxygen, with this carbon, sorry, and here you are having NMe, right, here methyl, in that case methyl is already there, and this is methyl. It is another Fischer carbene because heteroatom is there, right. So with this nitrogen containing Fischer carbene, will the effect be same as we have studied for your oxygen heteroatom Fischer carbene? So in that case you will always have the 2 signals only, you will always have 2 signals. This is something very important. Okay, so not 2 signals, it should have 3 actually. Why 3? So this is one methyl, another methyl attached with this one, another, so 3. Okay, total 3 signals would be there. Why? See, in that case there is no question of the cis and trans, because this carbon and nitrogen, they cannot rotate very easily because barrier of rotation is quite high. NC rotational barrier is quite high, and when the rotational barrier is quite high, then there is no question of forming having the different cis and trans form. If it would have happened in that manner, then it can give your 6 signal, but it NMR gives only 3 signals. That mean, and this can be explained on the basis of the higher barrier of rotation. So this is something very important. Okay, but and one more thing you should note, this trans form actually exists in the solid form, right, and it is rapidly equilibrating with the cis form. Okay, so this is all about your Fischer carbenes. Now we will look very quickly about the Schrock carbenes. So now we will very quickly see the few things about the Schrock carbene. Schrock carbenes. Okay, if I go back, right, in my previous lecture, right, you can see here this is the Schrock carbene, right. In that Schrock carbene, these ligands would be non-pi acceptor. This metal would be in the higher oxidation state and would be the early transition metal. Okay, and in that case these groups actually would be the sigma donor, not pi donor. These things you have to remember. Okay, so keeping all these things in mind, we can go for the synthesis of the Schrock carbenes. Okay, so how we can synthesize these? Say for example, you have been given NP3, Ta, Cl and Cl. This is tantalum. You know, it is the member of the vanadium group, tantalum. Okay, and they can give only 5 electrons, and of course the oxidation state would be high. In that case you can count the electron. It will not follow, remember, it will not follow your 18 electron rule. Schrock carbenes does not generally obey the 18 electron rule. And one more important thing, because this is in the higher oxidation state, higher oxidation state, that means they have the room to accommodate electron. So in that case very strong pi bonding would be there, strong pi back bonding. Okay, while in case of the Fischer carbene, because metal actually is in the low oxidation state in the Fischer carbene, already electrons are there. So in the Fischer carbene they cannot actually accept electron from the ligand. So there is a very weak pi back bonding in the Fischer carbene. So this point actually I have missed in my last lecture. So you will remember this particular point also. Your Schrock carbene will have the strong pi back bonding, while your Fischer carbene will have the weak back bonding. So I have written the backing, it should be the back bonding, okay. And you know the Fischer carbene is the triplet carbene, okay, and sorry, Fischer carbene was the singlet carbene and Schrock carbene is the triplet carbene. They are the spin isomers, okay. Schrock and Fischer carbenes are the spin isomers. This you have to remember. Say now you are preparing this one, and for this you are using this reagent base NPLi. NP is basically your neopentyl. Okay, neopentyl, you know, CH2, this carbon is connected with this tertiary butyl group. This is CH3, this is CH3, this is CH3. Very bulky in nature, okay. So when you react this species, what it will give you? It will simply give you the neopentyl 3 times attached with the tantalum, and this actually chlorine, this chlorine and this chlorine, they are replaced by the tertiary butyl group. So you can write CH2. So purposely I am writing hydrogen over there, and this is tertiary butyl group, which is this one, okay. Similarly, you are having CH2 here, and then you are having the T butyl group, okay. So after that, what will happen? The proton abstraction would occur. So what is the meaning of the proton abstraction? How it can abstract the proton from here, okay. So H positive abstraction. So this double bond will break, and it will grab this hydrogen as the proton, and this will get shifted over there. So what it will result? It will simply give you NP3 with tantalum. Now this tantalum would have the double bond. Why this tantalum would have the double bond now? You see the single bond was already there, and when actually this part grabs this hydrogen as proton, so this gets shifted from here. So single and one bond is coming from here, so it is double. So that's why here tantalum is having the double bond, and this is the way of synthesizing. See, it has actually grabbed this hydrogen CH3, and this is your tertiary butyl. So this is sigma donor, this is also sigma donor, okay, and tantalum is the early transition metal, and this is non-pi acceptor ligand neopentyl, right, and that's why it is the Schrock carbene. And in the Schrock carbene, this carbon is nucleophilic, so it has the affinity towards the electrofoil. So this is how you can prepare, okay. So there are various other ways also by which you can draw. Actually when the Fischer actually synthesized in 1964 that Fischer carbene, after 10 years in 1975, actually you see in 1975 Schrock actually did this thing. He actually took this salt of tantalum, not salt, actually compound, very sorry, tantalum, okay, of course in the salt form, positive is there, okay, and again he used this base CH3ONA, you know ONA positive, this is negative, okay. So this actually will attack on any one of this methyl, and this bond, right, which is there, okay, it is not actually grabbing this one, so I have to change the things little bit in order to avoid confusion. So what I am doing, I am writing CH2 and hydrogen, okay. So this will grab this hydrogen as proton, and this will shift over there, okay. When this will shift over there, what will happen? Cp2 was already there, tantalum is there, and this tantalum now coupled with this CH2. Okay, so you cannot actually have another CH2 here because valency gets completed. So for this, what actually had happened in that case, the methyl actually gets this methyl which is connected with this one, you can written in that manner, CH3. Okay, so this is again, you can see these two hydrogens actually which are present, they are the sigma donors, not pi acceptor. So Schrock first made this compound or this carbene which is different from the Fischer carbene, and he named this carbene after his name, that is Schrock carbene. Okay, and these Schrock carbenes have some important reactions. Alkene metathesis reaction is very important. Alkene metathesis, this is the property of your Schrock carbene, but I am not actually going to discuss alkene metathesis here, because for alkene metathesis, for the metathesis reactions, I will actually make a separate video for alkene metathesis. Now the last thing which is very important in this particular lecture is the Tebbe's reagent, TEBBE apostrophe S, Tebbe's reagent. Reagents are always important, you should know, very important. Tebbe's reagent. So what is the Tebbe's reagent? Tebbe's reagent basically it is a say a protected form of the Schrock carbene. So if you want to store, or if see, as I already told you, these organometallic compounds are very reactive. So if you want to store this particular compound, then you have to make little changes in the Schrock carbene, and that changes results in the formation of the here Tebbe's reagent. So Tebbe's reagent is what actually? See, in the last slide you can see here, not last slide, I can come here, Tebbe's reagent. Next, okay, so for example, you are having this Cp2, tantalum is there, okay, and here this chlorine is here, and this CH2 is here, okay, and aluminium is there, and Me2. So this is the bridged carbene which is known as the Tebbe's reagent. Okay, and see guys, let me check whether this tantalum is there or not. Let me verify from the textbook actually. Please wait. Okay, so I was making a mistake. I have verified this. This is not tantalum actually. So actually this was in my memory actually, this titanium or tantalum, what is there? So basically titanium is there. Okay, so this is how you can write actually. Okay, so this is your Tebbe's reagent, protected form. And why this Tebbe reagent is important? So I am giving you a thing here. Say for example, you are having any carbonyl group. You are having any carbonyl group, okay, and this carbonyl group may present in the different form. It may be your aldehyde, okay, it may be your ketone, maybe your ester. All these contain actually the carbonyl group. It could be your amides, it could be your acids. Okay, so if you use the Tabbe reagent, basically it is the application in the organic synthesis actually, right? So the carbonyl groups get converted into the CH2 group, methylene group. So conversion of the carbonyl group to the methylene group by using the Tabbe's reagent, right? It is having the various applications in the organic synthesis. Now if you can recall, if you have seen my video on the Wittig reaction, okay, if you have seen my video on the Wittig reaction, then in the Wittig reaction this has also the same thing had happened actually, right? You take the Wittig halide, right, and then react, and then you are having this carbonyl gets converted into the this CH2 group. So it will give you the same kind of the reaction which actually the Wittig reaction gives. So if you haven't seen the lecture on the Wittig reaction, so I am giving you the link in the description, and also you can see here in the information bar at the right top corner, this Wittig reaction link is there. You can go for that reaction also. Okay, so let quickly look for one or two reaction. Say for example, you have been given these, say you are having this compound. So very quickly I will draw. Oxygen is here, double bond carbon is here, okay, and then you are having OMe. This is OMe, this is OMe, this is OMe. If you react this compound with Tabbe's reagent, I am writing TR for this one, okay. So what will happen? The carbonyl group will convert into the CH2, just like that, okay, and all things will remain chain. There is no problem, okay. OMe, OMe and OMe, okay. Similarly, you may have, say, another compound. Say for example, you are having this species OET and a carbonyl here and a carbonyl here, okay, and this is R, and you are using the Tabbe reagent, but you are taking 1 mole of this one, 1 mole of this one, equimolar, right? One equivalent, right? You are using one equivalent of this and one equivalent of this. So what will happen? R C double bond O will remain intact. OET will be like that, and this would be double bond O. You know, the ester carbonyl group is more reactive than the carbonyl group of the ketone. That's why only if you use the one equivalent of Tabbe reagent only, then you will have only that ester carbonyl gets converted. But if you take this in excess, if you take this Tabbe's reagent in excess, so both the groups actually will convert into the CH2. So you can write CH2 over there, and then you can write the CH2 over there, okay. Alkyl is there, OET is there, both the groups gets converted, okay. So this is how you can actually go for the Schrock and the Fischer carbene. So guys, these two lectures nearly of about 2 hours, right? They give you the complete insight into the Fischer and the Schrock carbene, and this completes the metal carbene complexes, okay. I hope you like the lecture. If you like the lecture, please like the video, share with your friends, right? If you are watching for the video for the first time, please subscribe the tetrahedron chemistry classes and do share with your friends also. So that's it for today guys. Thank you very much.